Hello everyone, hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you for joining today. Just make sure that we've given everyone a couple of minutes to log on. If you can just pop a little message in there just to make sure that everyone can hear us okay, and then we'll get started. Lovely. Thank you, Ryan. Glad to have you with us. Okay. So, hello and welcome to our very first of our how-to webinar series. We've designed them to provide you with some practical advice and tips that you can put into action in your own business. Throughout the series, we're going to cover a range of great topics, from how to avoid the common mistakes new brands make on Amazon to how to grow your business with cross-border trade. A full list of the upcoming webinars is going to be made available at the end of the session. Just to introduce myself, I'm Lorna Lever. I'm one of the engagement managers here at GS1 UK. And today I'm joined by our fantastic guest speaker, author of #1 bestseller e-commerce marketing and host of the top 5 UK marketing podcast, Ecommerce MasterPlan, Chloë Thomas. Now, during our session today, Chloë is going to cover some top tips. She's going to be sharing her years of experience and practical tips on how to get more traffic that buys to your website. She is going to cover the best marketing methods for getting sales, how the customer master plan model can help you quickly improve your marketing, where to focus your efforts to increase your sales fast, and finally, she's going to share some examples with us. I just wanted to run through a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We're going to have about 30 minutes for the more formal session of the webinar, and then followed by a dedicated question and answer. We do welcome some interaction during the session, so if you've got any questions, please pop them on the questions function, and we're going to share them with Chloë as we go through or at the end as we see fit. The session is going to be recorded. We've just started that now, and it's going to be available on our website for the next few days. We're also going to make sure that we're going to mute all of you just to avoid any background noise. So that's enough for me. We're going to pass straight over to Chloë. Hello, Chloë.
Hi, Lorna. Thanks for having me. It's very cool to be here. And I think we're just changing over, so I have the ability to click the slides, don't we?
Yep. Always fun with these.
Oh, there we go. I think that was me. Either we both clicked it at the same time, or that was me. Oh, exciting! What can I do to your computer? Right. Hello, everyone. It's very cool to be here. What I'm going to be taking you through today is about how to get more traffic that buys to your website. So this isn't about getting marketplace sales. This is about getting sales on your website, kind of that holy grail where you've got total control. And I'm doing it in the sense of how we market now. Now, as we're kind of getting, lockdowns become quite a piece of normality for us all, I think. We've had some e-commerce businesses are going crazy with sales, others are doing terribly with sales. So I'd really wrap my brain about what was the best advice I could give that would work for all of you, whether you've seen your sales grow in these weird times, or you've seen your sales fall, or you're anticipating your sales to stay pretty much the same. And really not so much focusing on the lockdown period as focusing what's going to come after, because I think we're all in agreement now that it's not going to be the same as it was before. It's going to be a very interesting 6 months coming up in the e-commerce space and probably beyond. So rather than, say, you must do this and this is the way in which you're going to grow your sales, instead, what I want to do is give you some tools and a model that are going to enable you to adapt to what changes in your business, because all our businesses are individual, especially right now with how consumers are shifting their behavior in ways that just 2 months ago we would never have predicted. So really, I guess my number one piece of advice is you've got to be agile and you've got to adapt. But what I'm really going to focus on today is giving you some tools to help you do that in your business. So Lorna mentioned that I work at Ecommerce MasterPlan, and I have the podcast and my latest book, Ecommerce Marketing. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today comes straight out of that book. And it's on paperback, ebook, at Amazon. It's also available as an audiobook all over the place if you like your stuff audio. I do, as a podcaster, love my stuff audio, so we have to put the audiobook out there for you too. But I've done an awful lot before I wrote that book. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So I started off in e-commerce somewhere approaching 20 years ago now, in the early 2000s, working client side for a UK high street retailer who also had a mail order division, and fully got the bug. That was my first job in retail. And from there, I went to work agency side and ended up launching my own marketing agency that I ran for 10 years, focusing on traffic driving that can be analyzed, I suppose. So the direct marketing side of things. So we did email marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, affiliates, those kind of things, rather than the social media and SEO side of things. And then I created Ecommerce Masterplan as my escape route from the agency, because what I realized what I really wanted to do was to help as many e-commerce businesses as possible to solve their marketing problems. And it's very hard to help someone solve their marketing problems when you're also trying to flog them Google ads at the same time. So there's a real conflict with what I was doing at the agency. So Ecommerce Masterplan exists to help you solve your e-commerce marketing problems. And most of what I do these days is speaking and writing. So I write the books, I speak on the podcast and at lots of events where I'm either presenting like I am today or chairing. But the aim is to reach as many people as possible, to give you the tools, the advice and the techniques you need to be able to improve your marketing. So that's what I'm hoping to do today, is to give you some tools to help you solve your marketing problems. And I want to start off with a bit of a warning. So first off, we're going to look at the big shiny mirror ball, which stands for bright shiny objects. And these are dangerous in all walks of life, but they're particularly dangerous when it comes to working out what marketing you should be doing, because there's a lot of noise in the e-commerce space and the digital marketing space about what you should be doing. Everyone telling you that what they're doing is the best possible thing, what they're selling is the best possible thing. A lot of it's great advice, but you have to really read it all from the perspective of, is this going to work for me? Is this going to solve a problem I currently have? Rather than go, ooh, that's really cool, let's go chase that bright shiny object, because that will really take you off message and take you away from what will actually do the best for you. And during these times of COVID-19, we're getting more bright shiny object material being thrown at us than ever before. You know, as I said earlier, it seems like about half of e-commerce businesses are doing really well and half are doing really badly. And if you're hearing the news of those who are doing really badly and reading what they should be doing, but you're actually doing really well, then you're not looking at the right advice for you, and you'll be getting things which might seem like a great idea, but they're not going to be the best possible thing to help you solve the problems you've got. So I'm going to be telling you today about some very cool marketing ideas. If those aren't the right ones for you at this time, then they may actually be bright shiny objects for you. So please don't get distracted by the objects I'm going to be putting in front of you if they're not going to help you solve the problems which you have at the moment. And also, you know, just bear it in mind, kind of always really, is what I'm looking at a bright shiny object, or is it something which is going to solve the problem I most need to solve at the moment? And my advice for dealing with all of these bright shiny objects is to write a list. I have a few of these going in my business of things I've seen which are really cool, which I want to do at some point, but which aren't right for now. And when you build that list up, then it means when you've got a new problem, you don't have to go, oh my God, what am I going to do to solve it? You can go, oh, I shall take a look at my list of previous bright shiny objects that I've ignored and see which of them is going to be the right one to help me take things to the next level. So my kind of first piece of advice is have a big list of those ideas and those things which you're being bombarded with at the moment across marketing and everything else in business, really, and keep that list handy so when you've got a problem that needs to be solved, you've got those ideas ready for you. And I've just put in front of you my customer master plan model, and this is what we're going to focus on basically for the rest of the presentation, because this is my vehicle for working out what is and what is not a bright, shiny object. I'll explain what you're looking at first off, and then I'll explain how it's going to help you with your bright, shiny objects. So across the bottom, you've got 6 circles, and these circles are the customer relationship levels, and they represent the level of relationship that everyone in the world has with your business. So on the far left-hand side, we've got the world, which is literally everyone out there in the world. Some of them will have heard of you, some of them won't. Some of them will never hear of you. There's an awful lot of people out there. Then visitors are people who've made it as far as your website. Inquirers are those for whom you've captured data, ideally email address, but we'll take a push notification or postal address as well. And then we have first-time buyers, who are people who've actually paid you money. Then we go into repeat buyers and regular buyers. And our job as e-commerce business owners is to take people from the left-hand side to the right-hand side as quickly as possible. And we do that by focusing on stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 activities. And different things work in different stages, both in terms of your marketing and in terms of what you do with your website or anything else that's going on in your business. There are things which work in each of those stages. So this model is to help you try and think, which stage should I be working in? In a minute, I'm going to give you a tool to work out, to help you work out that. But let me explain the rest of the diagram before we get on to that. So the customer lifetime value, the arrow that goes up to that CLV, that's just a visual reminder that the further someone progresses through those customer relationship levels, the more that customer is worth to you. The down arrow pointing at those 2 people, that is a reminder that the further we go through the customer lifetime levels, customer relationship levels even, we are going to have fewer people. So you have fewer regular buyers than you have visitors to your website. That is a fact for everyone out there. And then the arrow across the top is the conversation, which we're not going to talk a lot about today, but it's a reminder that the more consistent you keep your communications from the beginning to the end of the customer's relationship with you, the faster everything works. It's like the grease that oils the machine, if you like. So the tighter you get your conversation, the more consistent you make your branding, your messaging, and everything else you tell people about your business, then the faster people will progress from the world through to become regular buyers. So this is the customer master plan model. I created it to help you solve your marketing problems by giving you a simple visual tool you can use to help you focus in on where you should be working. Now, normally, in normal times, whatever normal is, I would be saying you should be revisiting this every month, maybe every quarter, and going, right, we've spent a month working on stage 3. Where should we be focusing next month? And now I would suggest you should be looking at this potentially every week, just to go, right, where is the best place I can spend my time to make the biggest impact for my business? And because things are changing so fast at the moment, it really is something you need to be looking at quite quickly. So I have a very complicated model for, hold on, that's not the page I thought I was going to get there. Oh, there we go. See, I clicked on 2. There we go. So normally, there's a very complicated mathematical model you can use to work out where you're weakest, because obviously where you're weakest is where you should be putting your effort. However, that takes an awful lot of time and not everyone has access to the right numbers. So what I want to do is to give you the quick option, which is to draw out this table on a piece of paper and then to think about all the different marketing that you're doing and put it into the boxes. So if you're doing email newsletters, those are about turning inquirers into first-time buyers. If you are doing a welcome campaign, then that's again about turning inquirers into first-time buyers. If you're deploying a pop-up on your website to capture email addresses, that's for stage 2, and so forth. So if you take all the marketing you're currently doing and fit it into each of these boxes, and you'll understand these a bit more as we go through the rest of the presentation, then quite simply, the box with the least things in it is the one you need to focus in, because this model works at its best when every single one of the 5 stages is covered. When every single one of those you have working well, the sum is so much greater than the individual parts. So if you're really, really strong in stage 3, then stage 3 is almost certainly where you shouldn't be working at the moment. You should be filling up the gaps, filling in the pieces which are not so good. If you've got every single box full, Then be really honest about when you last looked at and optimized that marketing. And then the thing you optimized least recently, that's where you need to go next. Go and see how the performance is, see if you can improve it. Hence, you may well be coming back to this on a weekly, potentially daily basis to help you make sure you're doing the best possible thing you can be doing for your business at the moment. And that's how you stay agile, and that's how you adapt to these changing times. So what we're going to do for the rest of the presentation is we're going to take these two people who are currently sitting on the world customer relationship level, and we're going to take them through as far as first time buyers. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks you can deploy in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4. So you're going to have lots of ideas when you know, after this webinar, when you've downloaded the slides, which you can get right now in the handouts if you want them, then you can use that model, that table I just took you through. Hold on, here we go. Oops, not that one. Going backwards, wrong direction, Chloe. This one to do your analysis. And then if you find stage 2 is where you're weakest, the great news is I'm going to give you some tips on stage 2 for how you can quickly make an impact. So I've looked at all the different podcast guests I've had over the last couple of years. I've looked at the things I've seen people doing recently, and I've picked out the best things, the easy to implement, the low cost tactics you can be deploying across stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's what we're going to go into now. So I've teased you with this graphic by accident a couple of times now. So let me explain it. We all know that in stage 1, getting people from the world to visit our website, there's an awful lot of marketing we could be doing. I reckon there's probably 1,000+ different things you could do to get someone to your website, from harassing them in the street and making them type it in on their mobile phone, which I do not recommend, through to putting an advert in a national magazine. So many different things we could do. So I've split them down into 3 types of marketing. And this graphic in front of you represents the fact of how close in to your website they are, how close to buying they are at the point where you put the marketing in front of them. So get found is just about making sure the person who wants you, who wants your product, can find you. So that's very much about search. So it's about Google shopping campaigns, it's about very targeted keyword ads on Google, and it's about great SEO on your category names and your product names and your brand name. Not a lot you can do in Get Found, but it's crucially important. Then we have target customer and shine a light. Now, often the same marketing goes for both of these, or same marketing method, but it's who you're putting it in front of. So shine a light would be putting an advert in the Times or the Telegraph for your product. Target customer will be putting an advert in, if you sell fly fishing equipment, in Fly Fishing Monthly. So it's about who you're getting the message in front of. And this is somewhere where a lot of businesses only do one of these types of marketing, and they really miss out on stage 1, because even this is almost like a journey within the journey. You need to make people aware of your business with your shine a light activity, hook them in with your target customer activity, and then make sure they can find you when they want to with the Get Found activity. So my first marketing tip for you relates to being Get Found, and this is all about using Google shopping campaigns, which are a complete no-brainer, but they've become an even bigger no-brainer in the last week, because Google's announced they're making what appears on the shopping tab free. Yes, free. They're going to be putting free product listings on that shopping tab. They've been rolling it out in the USA this week. It's coming to Europe very soon. So if you don't have a feed being fed into Google, you will not be appearing there. So Google shopping campaigns, my very quick Get Found recommendation. Then I'm going to give you one tip that's going to cover both shine a light and target customer. How good is that? One thing you can do to tick them both off the list. This is a business called Taylor & Hart, and Taylor & Hart sell engagement rings. And if you've ever tried to find a list of people who are about to get engaged, you'll be bitterly disappointed, because you can't get one. There is no list of people who are about to get engaged. So they had to create their own target customer audience, and they used Facebook ads to do it. So they created a video that explained the process, and they put it out on Facebook as an advert in front of everybody in the UK. Then they took the people who watched that video and they made them into a second audience on Facebook, which becomes their target customer audience. So they do the first bit of marketing to kind of almost sweep a net to find people who are interested in engagement rings. And then they use that second piece of marketing, the target customers, to get people to come in and buy. Obscenely successful campaign. Sometimes you do have to pay for advertising twice to get that sale, but obscenely successful. And I had Nikolai from Taylor & Hart on the podcast talking about it if you want more info on that one. Okay, so we have now got our customers as far as becoming visitors. They visited the website. So now we're going to try and turn them into inquirers. And I should point out at this stage that if they buy at this point, that's fine. I don't think they have to become an inquirer before they're allowed to buy. So in stage 2, it's all about basically the email pop-up. This is one from a business called Project Repat. They get about 8% of visitors to their website to sign up to their email list. And then they've got a great welcome campaign which converts 25% of those into buyers. That's a brilliant way of working marketing. And I've got Nathan from Project Repat is on the podcast and talks about how they do that in quite a bit of detail too. So if you're not doing pop-ups on your website to capture that data, you really need to, because huge quantities of people from all that stage 1 marketing you're doing are visiting your website and they're not buying. A great tool for kind of taking this to the next level is to run a viral competition. So a viral competition doesn't necessarily sit on your website, but it does enable you to collect email addresses. And anyone who enters is then able to earn more entries by taking various tasks. And what this is particularly cool for is that you can get those tasks to get them connecting to you in more ways. So they can connect to your Facebook, they connect to your Instagram, they can connect to you on Twitter, which gives you multiple ways to then go about communicating them to them in the future. And as that stat says, which is from an Omnisend report from last year, 90% higher customer retention when you use multiple channels to speak to people. And it's exactly the same with customer recruitment. So we've got them to the inquirer level. So now it's all about our stage 3 activity to turn them into buyers. Now, admittedly, in stage 3, there's an awful lot you need to do on your website to make sure it's converting as well as it can. But today, I'm just going to be focusing on the marketing side of things. So what marketing can we do in stage 3? Well, it all starts off with the welcome campaign, because you've captured that data and now you need to turn the people who've signed up into your perfect customers. You need to give them the knowledge they need to be able to buy from you and buy from you well. So this is an example from a company called Snake Hive, who followed a model I'm going to show you shortly in order to create their perfect welcome campaign. And they sell mobile phone covers, so not the most interesting product in the world, and not the product you would expect people to necessarily be investing this time in creating a welcome campaign for, but it's a brilliant one. You can download the handout and have a read through these. So I'm going to very, very quickly run through some of the key points. So they've got a really nice hello. They've got no sales at all in this first message. They've got some great recent posts information. And then they've got some social proof in terms of where they've been featured in terms of magazines. Then, and I've split this is not the order in which they go out. I've kind of zoned the emails to give you a clear idea of what's going on. So then they really focus on different elements of the product. On the far right there, they're talking about their collections, the different types they're doing. In the middle, we've got their promise, their guarantee, kind of their mission statement, their values, really important, with some great product imagery too. And then on the left-hand side, they've got the key elements of their product. So the materials, the colors. So they've really turned granular, the detail about the product, in order to make sure they're getting the information over to the customer about why they need not just a mobile phone cover that they can buy at the local market, but they need a Snake Hive mobile phone cover. And then they've got these, which these I think are brilliant because they're hugely powerful emails to have in your welcome campaign. They are also incredibly easy and simple to get set up. The one on the left is just a collection of 5-star customer reviews. Social proof is hugely powerful. Super simple email to do, literally copy and paste and you created it. So easy. And then on the right hand side, it's about where they've been featured in publications. So again, hugely powerful. Admittedly, you do have to have gone to the effort of making people review your product, but if you've already done that, this is such a great one to slip into that welcome campaign to really just amp up how much people should trust and believe in your product to help remove all those barriers to purchase so they come and buy. So hence your welcome campaign really does turn people into the customer you want to be buying your product, because you teach them all those things. This is a screen grab of the tabular version of the Snake Hive welcome campaign, and you can use this same layout to work out yours. Before you get to this, take a piece of paper and write on it trigger to purchase, remove barrier to purchase, build trust and other, so these 4 headings, and write down everything you want to tell them during the course of that welcome campaign. What are the key things they need to know about and understand about your business in order to get them ready to buy? Then you go to this table and you work out how you fit those messages together to create your welcome campaign. So for some of you, it might be a 6 email welcome campaign like the Snake Hive one, or it might be a 2 email welcome campaign. However many it ends up being is determined by the messages you need to get across to the customer and not by anything else. And then start building it. And the great thing about a welcome campaign is you only need to create the first email to be able to turn it on. So create that first email, turn on the welcome campaign, and then when you get another moment, come back and create email 2, and you'll have this Word doc just ready for you to then be able to go, right, I know what's happening in email 2 because I've already planned it out. So then you can build it up as you go. You don't have to create it all in one go, which I know can be a little bit of an overwhelming task. And I can't take us through stage 3 without mentioning abandoned basket emails. If you are not running abandoned basket emails, you really need to be. These are such a great way of getting the sale. Consumers get distracted. They fail to buy not because they don't want to buy, but because something else happened. You know, the kids had a fight, the TV show started, the ad break ended, the kettle boiled, whatever it might be. So you really must be doing these. A Dot Digital hitting the mark report this year showed that only 43% of the retailers they looked at were running them. That is criminal. Make sure you have that turned on too. Right, so as you can see, lots that you can do in stage 3, but we've got our people as far as the first time buyer customer relationship level. So they've paid us some money. We put in all that work and they finally paid us some money. So what are we going to do in stage 4 to turn them into repeat buyers? Well, the first thing you've got to work out is what you want them to do, because this varies from business to business. Do you want them to buy again? Do you want them to do a product review and give you some social proof? Do you want them to share the product purchase on social media and create another form of social proof? Do you want to spread the word about your product? Do you want them to refer a friend? It really depends on your business what you want them to do next. You know, if you're a business selling doormats, I completely forgot the word there, doormats, then, you know, the average house doesn't have 5 doors like you've got in front of you. The average house has but 1.5 doors. So most people, when they buy a doormat, they don't want another one. So what you want from them is you want them to refer people, you want them to tell others about it, you want great social proof back from them that you can use to increase conversion rates of other new customers. But if you're selling a beauty product or a consumable or fashion, then you probably want them to buy again before you want them to do everything else. And those decisions help you work out which door in this image in front of you want them to go through, but also help you work out what messages you need to get in front of them. And once you've worked that out, then you can work out what goes into the parcel, what goes in to other spaces. Now, this is my golden promotional rule. This is essential for every stage and every piece of activity you do, which is that a promotion exists to get the customer to do what you want them to do as cheaply as possible. And in the case of stage 4, where we're communicating with our first-time buyers, the what you want them to do is crucially important. It's much more clear-cut on the others. You know, in stage 1, you want them to visit the website. In stage 2, you want them to sign up to your email list. In stage 3, you want them to buy. Stage 4, you might want them to buy, you might want them to do social proof, you might want them to do something else. There's lots of different things you might want them to do. So you've got to be really clear on what that is. And then you can work out what the best promotion you can put together is to get them to do that as cheaply as possible. Remember, cheaply is both in terms of product cost, in terms of marketing cost, and in terms of your time. So bear all of those in mind. And of course, this can be used across all your marketing too. So there we have it, the customer master plan model. Lots of ideas there for you to improve your stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 activity. The crucial thing is to use that table I shared at the beginning to work out where you should be focusing your time to make the biggest impact to your business, and then work there. Work in that stage, look at your big list of bright shiny objects, look at what you're currently doing, work out what the best thing is you can do to improve stage 3 or stage 2 or wherever it is you should be focusing. And then whilst you're doing that, the other thing which you have to do, which is my own personal mantra, which I end every podcast with, is keep optimizing. Because you can set up and put live all the marketing in the world, but if you're not going back, reviewing the results and making it better, then you are missing huge gains. I said about Project Repat and them getting 8% of visitors to their website to sign up to their email marketing. That didn't happen the first time they put a sign up pop-up live. They did huge amounts of testing on what was the right level of discount to put in to maximize purchase, sales value further down the line. They did huge amount of testing on the design, on at what point it pops up, on the size of the pop-up, the dismissal method of the pop-up. Everything they went through testing to slowly claw their way up to that 8%. So just putting it live is great, but it's not the end of the game. The game is about looking at what you're doing. If it's doing well, do more of it. If it's doing badly, stop it or find a way to make it better. And you can find lots more about the model and about e-commerce marketing in my book, Ecommerce Marketing. And on the podcast, every week I interview a different e-commerce business owner or marketer. So there's an awful lot of inspiration on there, an awful lot of bright, shiny objects, I suppose, if you want to go and find them. But you can find all of those on the podcast. Lots of things to listen to, lots of things to help you grow. And you can find all of that via ecommercemasterplan.com. So make sure you're focusing on the right piece of your business each day, each week, and keep optimizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. That was a lot of information. That's lots of tips to try. Thank you so much. We have got a couple of questions that have come through, so let's just dig through those.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to give everyone lots of bits and pieces because I know there's a lot going on out there, and not every, if I cut it down to like 3, there wouldn't, that might not have hit everyone out there who's watching. So, so hopefully everyone's picked up at least one thing there, which is going to help them improve sales in the next week.
Well, definitely. And there's no better time to be getting people looking at your brand, because obviously there's a lot more people and a lot more eyeballs on devices at the moment. So
yeah,
lots to do. So let's have a look at these questions. So we've got one from Laura. When you do a giveaway or a competition, do you not think there's a large proportion of people who only sign up at the time purely for the free product and then unfollow you afterwards?
Yes, you will get people who do that, and I would make sure that to try and minimize the impact of that, one, I would make sure that the prize is directly relevant to your product. So the slide I showed you was an example done by Blue Coffee Box, who actually talked about it on the podcast if you want to listen to that, but they give away a box of blue coffee. So they give away their actual products. They're only going to get people signed up who want their product. So that's a good starting point, is we're getting people to sign up who want our product. If they were offering, I don't know, a bar of chocolate, then it would be far less valuable to them. And then secondly is to keep an eye on how that list performs after you've recruited it. So I would keep them in a separate list so you can track their response, because it may be that, let's say you get 1,000 email addresses. And you get 1,000 people who sign up on your website normally, you may find that the response rate from the 1,000 people who came in from the competition is considerably lower. They open less, they click less, they buy less. So it may be you archive that list and stop using it sooner than you would one of your lists from another source. So yes, you're going to get less quality data than you will from your pop-up on your website, but they can still be hugely powerful ways of growing a business, because if you set it up right and started off by putting it in front of the right people, then you will find you do get customers through it.
Great, that makes total sense. Sticking with the viral competitions, actually, you mentioned viral competitions being a great way to get email addresses. What tools would you recommend?
2 for you. One is gleam.io, so GLEAM.io, which is the one that I showed you. And then another one that I've used myself is Vyper.io, so VYPER.io. Both of those do everything you need.
Great. We've got another one here. That's a lot of advice about marketing, but what can we do on our websites to help?
Oh, yes.
That might be a big question.
It is a big question. I would say, first off, think about your messaging as the starting point. So, you know, I said about the conversation being across everything. Make sure that the messaging on your website accurately represents your brand. So, you know, have you used the emotional triggers that we can use? So have you got social proof on the homepage? Have you got reviews on the products? Have you got great product information, great photography? Try and take a cold, hard look at the website and think, have I given the customer the information they need to be able to buy? And have I given them enough reasons to buy? So the social proof, the reassurance about delivery, and the fact you're a real business, and maybe the story behind your business and the founder's information. Lots you can do there. Without meaning to plug another book, my book Customer Persuasion also uses the customer master plan model, but focuses an awful lot more on what's going on your website. So if you're desperate for website improvements, that would be a good place to go to.
Great, thank you. Okay, we've got another one from Maria. So this one says, I'm a complete beginner. I'm only in the process of setting up my website. Is there any marketing that I can get on with now? Like what should be my first step?
Cool, great question, Maria. So I'm going to assume that your website isn't yet transactional for the purposes of answering this. So, you know, you're setting it up, but you're not yet ready to take orders. So data capture is what you need to be doing right now. That will be email sign up capture if you've got the website live to some extent. You could also start by running a viral competition, because you don't need a website to be able to do that. So you could start running that viral competition to collect data right now of people who could be interested. And if you've got that website set up as well, I would make sure that you're collecting the pixel data, so the cookie data of people. So if you're planning on doing Facebook ads, which you almost certainly should be, then make sure you've got the pixel in the website straight away, so you're starting to capture the people who are finding you so you can advertise to them later on.
Great, lovely. Okay, that's it for our questions. If you've got any more questions, please just drop them in there. As Chloe mentioned, we've already got the handouts in the handouts section over on the right hand side, which you can download, but we will be following up afterwards. So thank you for joining us. Big thank you to Chloe, obviously, shared so much fantastic knowledge and expertise during this session. And I hope you've got some great tips there that you can implement into your own business. If you want to hear more from Chloe, she shared some of the bits and pieces of how you can contact her, but be sure to check out her podcast, Ecommerce Master Plan. You release them every Monday, is that right?
Yes, they come out every Monday. And I think this week is actually the more on the promotional golden rule, because it's some excerpts from the audio book, and next week is Moral Code, which is a footwear retailer in the US. Really fascinating interview, that one. So yeah, every Monday.
Great. Okay, we'll add some links to all the different places and obviously all your major social channels where we can get in contact you.
Yeah, excellent.
So finally, if you enjoyed this webinar, make sure you come along and join in with our next ones. We've got we'll share the titles on the screen at the end, and also a link to all of them will come out in the follow-up email. So with all that's left to be said is let us know any feedback. We obviously want to make sure that these are as valuable for you as possible. It'd be great to hear what results you've got implementing some of these tips. And obviously if you've got any other queries for us here at GS1, then get in touch. Our engagement managers are still here as usual. And obviously so is our lovely member support team. So thank you all. Have a great day and I hope to see you next week.